You're listening to Morning Edition on this Tuesday here on WCBU. I'm Rich Drager. The Illinois Head Start Association has released a report sharing anonymous stories of how ICE activity has impacted the kids at their child care centers. Reporter Peter Medlin sat down with the executive director of Illinois Head Start, Lauri Morrison-Frichtl, to explain the impact those immigration raids are having on the children inside those facilities.
What made you guys want to share these stories in this way?
Well, as you know, last fall and earlier this year, ICE was all over our Head Start communities, especially in the Chicagoland areas and several other areas across the state. And it wasn't every day I would hear from directors who were crying and saying, "This is awful, this is terrible. Our families and children are experiencing all of this." And so at that point in time, I said, we have to do something. We have to, this is part of our history, who we are, and this is happening to our children and families across the state. And at that time, we just decided we need to start collecting these stories so they're not forgotten.
And how has, over the past year, the increased immigration enforcement impacted the kids that you guys take care of, both emotionally, their ability to learn, all of it?
Oh, geez. The experience of having immigration officials on our street wearing masks, carrying guns, shooting tear gas, blowing whistles, all of that is traumatizing to our children. We couldn't take children out on the playground, for example, for fear of, ice and tear gas. Children were worried that they would be taken away. Even during role play, during class time, they would role play their trauma out. If you're not good, ICE is going to come and get you. So those are the kinds of stories. So all of that, we know what trauma does to children and their learning.
Can you read one of the stories from one of the kids that you have featured in your community stories?
I sure can. Sophia's older cousin was detained during an early morning enforcement action. Since then, Sophia, one of our Head Start children, sleeps with her backpack packed with clothes and her favorite stuffed animal. Her grandmother says she's afraid of being taken away suddenly and wants to be ready. And teachers are sharing that she's having nightmares, she's regressed in potty training, and has separation anxiety that didn't exist before. And so we also have children that, if their parent is late picking them up, even by 5 or 10 minutes, they fear that their parent has been captured by ICE. Can you imagine that? And though they have extreme behavior, meltdown anxiety because of that. And the parent will show up then and pick them up, but it's already, that's already built in or baked into their memory.
Can you talk about how it's impacted your staff and the operation of centers? Again, obviously much harder to teach kids, and when them and their teachers are anxious or scared, you've had folks affiliated with Head Start detained, parents and classroom assistants afraid to leave their home, staff turnover, more kids absent, just the trying to operate as a child care facility.
Right. So we've had to make accommodations for our workforce. Of course, a lot of our staff lived in mixed, status families, and they're worried about their own family. And so we've had staff that have asked for accommodations about arriving to work because ICE is waiting outside the building. We don't store children's files and information in the front of our office. They're all the way in the back of the office so that ICE doesn't have them readily handy when if they walk into a private facility. And we've, had to hire security guards, to help staff coming in and out and our families during drop off and pickup. And we've had, low attendance during these times, and we've had to support families by taking food and toiletries and diapers and things that families need that they're afraid to come out and get.
Just over the past couple weeks, ICE activity in Illinois has ramped up again. Have you guys been seeing that at your centers and seeing some of that anxiety and that trauma bubble back up?
Yes, yes, I'm glad you brought that back up. We've had several directors contact me and say, ICE is in our parking lot. They were but we're better prepared this time because we experienced this. And so we have, systems in place. There's communication systems they put in place with their community partners where they alert each other and support each other.
Lauri, the last question I have for you is just, you guys in early childhood think of yourselves as, helping build the foundation for kids, both emotionally, academically, and you've had to figure out how to change protocols and do all this stuff to, solve problems and work things out in real time in the moment. I'm curious if you've been thinking about the long-term impact that this could have on kids.
Yes. So, one of our primary goals is to get the child and family ready for kindergarten. And, when they enter the K-12 system, they're going to carry this baggage with them. And so our goal is to, start unpacking that baggage and support the individual child and family in this process. But it's extremely hard when this is still going on within the communities. It still has all that fear and anxiety that children are carrying with them, and the family is seeing and carrying with them. Children are smart. They pick this up. They know what's going on. As a child, just think about this. It's almost like a war zone for them when you think about, all of the men carrying guns, wearing masks, all of the meanness and violence. Our children are witnessing and seeing all of that. So our expectation is, yes, the level of support that's needed now and continues is going to be tremendous.
That was Lauri Morrison-Frichtl, Executive Director of Head Start Illinois, speaking with reporter Peter Medlin. Head Start Illinois recently released a series of community stories about how ICE activity has impacted the kids at their child care centers. Immigration agents recently took part in a nationwide 5-day sweep, which led to 10,000 arrests. The nonprofit Immigration Project, which serves central and southern Illinois, has started a rapid response team to help community members know their rights when approached by an immigration agent. The agency also provides free legal services and various social service support for impacted families. You're listening to Morning Edition here on WCBU, Peoria Public Radio, part of the NPR network.